Welcome back to the Redesigning Your OCs! If you haven't already, you can watch my previous redesign videos in the links in the description of this video. And for those of you who are up to speed, things are going to be a little bit different this time around. Instead of redesigning exclusively Wings of Fire dragons, as I've done in the past, I've decided to take on all dragon designs for these character makeovers from now on. And for context, these designs will be inspired by the lore from my book series, The Draconia Chronicles, much like the second redesign video. If you want to learn more about that, I will also have links down in the description, so expect these characters to be characters based in that world's lore. And without further ado, let's get on to the redesigns. First up on the chopping block is a character submitted by Razor Kelp. This kind dragoness has a taste for adventure and loves exploring and traveling as a means from escape from her otherwise dull upbringing. She is conscious of others and is helpful wherever she is needed. This is a very bright and bubbly, vibrant character with a personality that matches. Let's see what we can do with her character. For starters, the original design didn't have wings, so I decided to make this dragoness a coastal or water Durak. In my series, a Durak is a flightless form of draconic species, not to be associated with the dragon species necessarily, but is similar in physical traits and appearances, aside from the absence of wings and the ability to fly. I wanted her to be brightly colored like the reference, as I imagine her living near a coral reef of some sort, somewhere that's abundant with color. Since she's a water Durak, she's amphibious and has the ability to live solely on land or in the water. I liked the purple dots that were in her pattern, and I wanted to somehow incorporate that into her new design, but instead of making it color themed, I decided to make them blue lumps on her belly. This added bioluminescence to the character, as most deep-sea creatures in the wild do have bioluminescence, and I imagine her using this as maybe some kind of a navigator or communicator with the rest of her pod. Boba lived most of her life on a carefree reef on the coast. She resides in a small pod that patrol the area, but her love for exploring, however, caught her on the wrong side of the reef one day, resulting in her being separated from her family. She now lives alone at another distant reef, where she rehabilitates the local wildlife. Overall, I really like Boba's makeover. I wish I could have done something a little more with her backstory, but I kind of like that it's open-ended and allows the original owner of the character to elaborate on what the next chapter in her life is going to be like. I feel like she wasn't all that different from her original design, and I think making her a Durak gives her a unique perspective compared to the other dragons in the world. I hope you guys enjoyed her redesign, and let's move on to the next victim. Our next character was submitted by Nightshade the Dragon. This is a rainwing named Stunning. Stunning is your typical rainwing that lives in the rainforest with the rest of her tribe. She has a pet snake and a few scars from the quarrels with other dragons. She's an overall very simplistic character with not much of a backstory or much development yet. I like the simplicity and the openness of this character, so let's get on to the redesign and see what we can come up with. For this design, I felt an amphitheater would work best. Amphitheaters being legless, winged dragons. They're basically snakes with wings, which I felt was very fitting, considering she has a pet snake. Like rainwings, I picture this dragoness being able to change color and blend into her environment, maybe disguising herself as draping vines or something poisonous to deter predators. I wanted to keep the fins in her original design and take inspiration from the overall Rainwings design from Wings of Fire, and this is kind of what I came up with. I wanted to keep the coloring style consistent across all of these designs, so I'm doing a soft shade like I did on the previous character. I'm also trying to keep her original color palette mostly intact. Stunning is a small dragoness that lives in the Etherian lands of Nitrum. She grew up in a luscious jungle-like terrain with a group of other dragons. Her valor consisted of a tight-knit group of hatchlings that were communally raised together, as amphitheaters usually are. Stunning enjoys her days basking in the trees, playing with her valor, and hunting in the exotic, lush environment. I hope you enjoyed Stunning's redesign and short backstory. I had a lot of fun creating this design. I felt like it was kind of challenging, but also very entertaining to make a design inspired by the Rainwing's personality and aesthetic. I hope her owner also enjoys her. Our final character was submitted by Mocha4, and boy does he have quite the rich backstory. This is Moth. He's an Icewing Sandwing hybrid. Moth was born in the Ice Kingdom. Being a hybrid, his awkward appearance soon became the talk of the town. The rumors grew so much that the queen herself demanded to see this young dragon. Upon discovering that he was indeed a hybrid, the queen punished his mother and sent her away. Although Moth was left behind, he did show promising signs of intelligence. This piqued their queen's interest. Moth grew up heavily guarded under strict supervision with a caretaker unrelated to him over the queen's orders. His curiosity led him to study light and its properties while in this domain. The queen provided educational materials and compensation in the form of clothing for his lack of cold temperature resistance. She hoped that he would grow into a bright dragon, hopefully offering some kind of use to her. The small hut that he grew up in became his loving home, and he grew content being on his own, isolated but with a bright mind and a hunger for knowledge. This is going to be a very fun character to work with, so let's get on to his mutilation. I decided on an Iberian dragon for this boy, staying true to his original physique. I was inspired by his odd fascination with light and how to manipulate it, and I wanted to integrate that into his design in a more fundamental way. The biggest changes being to his silhouette rather than his colors or small details, and these are all reflected in his backstory. Moth grew up an orphan in high-class society near the Urarian lands of Nitram. He never knew his mother or his original bloodline. All he could recall is that from a young age he was put through rigorous magic courses designed for gifted draglings, his sorcerer being particularly interested in the way his physical body reacted to certain elements. One day after his classes, Moth saw an opening for escape and decided to take his chances, clawing his way to the outside world at last. He was welcomed by an assortment of cave openings, all filled with very large glowing crystals. The light that reflected from some of them hypnotized him. His dark eyes were drawn to one in particular. It emanated a bright blue color. He pressed his wings to it, and within seconds he felt the essence flowing through him. His eyes burst with the same bright aura as the crystal, his wing glued to its surface. Fighting to use the mana now building up inside of him, he tore his wing away. His eyes were still fixated on its ghostly glow. Searing pain filled his shoulder blades. His eyes ached and his vision blurred, turning to white as he collapsed. Upon his awakening, he struggled to see. He reached his claws to his eyes and, to his horror, felt shards collected around them. His wing shared the same cold, stiff texture as his maw. His realization, his wing and his eyes had crystallized. I really had a lot of fun with this character. The magic system on Nitram is still mostly a mystery, and while dragons do have a basic understanding of how it works, anomalies like this do still happen. I think twisting his love for light into a curse brought on by curiosity was a fun way to add spice to his character. I hoped you all loved his redesign, and I hope his new owner loves him too. Thank you to everyone who has submitted a character, regardless if you were picked or not. I had a lot of fun experimenting with my style on these guys, and I hope you all enjoyed the little Nitram lore and backstories added onto the designs. If you are interested in learning more about my book series, I have some links in the description, as well as some more videos on my channel going into a bit more detail. And don't worry, more videos are on the way, they just take a very long time to make. And a very large portion of the first novel is already complete. But that's information for another video. Thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.